This lecture was given at the Institute of Psychology and Parapsychology on the 13th of October 1977. The title of this lecture is The Moods. The lecturer is Peter Goodwin, all copyright reserved. They've all been waiting to do the moods. I'm not sure why. I think my good wife has told you this is probably one of the best evenings of the lot, and provided my wife runs the practical, I'll go along with that. She does a very good job on the practical. Now, the moods really tie in with the other four lectures. That's the one lecture on communication, which Terence enjoyed last week, and also the lecture on horizons, the lecture on the subconscious mind, and all those three lectures tie in with this one, and I will refer to those other lectures. If you haven't done them yet, don't worry, because you'll get onto them eventually. Now, basically, man is composed of, woman and man rather, is composed of four components: body, mind, the actual person, the subconscious mind, and that's, body, mind, subconscious mind, the person. Yeah, that's the four parts. So you've got the person, that's you, the being, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your body. And they're all, in fact, separate, four separate parts. And the interdisposition between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, that interaction on you produces the moods. So firstly, you've got to realise what experiences the moods, and the answer is that you experience the moods. You, the spiritual being, you, the person. So it is you that feels angry, it is you that feels frightened, and it is you that feels sad. Not your body, not your subconscious mind, not your mind, but you the person. And all the higher states of awareness, if you like, higher consciousness, spiritual states, whatever word you like to put on them, these states are moods. They're not states of intelligence or states of intellectual beings. They are moods. So if you want to go out of your body, as some of you can do, then that is a mood. It's not a state you can achieve by studying mathematics. It's not a state that you can achieve because you've got a high IQ or because you're a genius. It's got nothing to do with it. It is a mood. So the higher states of awareness are moods. Now, you are all aware of the medium, what I call the middle moods. Moods such as enthusiasm, moods such as fear, moods such as grief. You're all familiar with those moods. But the higher moods, the higher states, are also moods, not anything to do with intelligence. So you might find that a peasant in a small village was able to obtain these higher states of awareness without ever having been to school, without ever having studied anything. So intellectual appreciation or intellectual awareness, the ability to do mathematics, has got nothing to do with moods. That is a function of intelligence. That is a function of the conscious mind, intelligence, and able to compute out mathematical formula. That's a function of intelligence, which you use your rational mind for, your conscious mind. Moods are functions of you, the person. Now, we're not talking about personality. That is something quite different, because your personality, your aspirations, your desires, your ambitions, those are also functions of you, but those are not the moods. Moods are definable things, and I've got here a list of the moods, and this list that will be given at the end of this lecture, in fact, starts off at 40 at the top and goes down to -8. And when you get to your notes, you'll find the minus signs are missing, so once you get down to 0 at the bottom, you start putting your minus signs. So it starts off at 40 at the top, it comes right down to 0, and then you go on to the minus mood table, the sub-apathy levels. And the normal range of moods, which most of you will be concerned with on a daily basis, are the moods here between 0 and 4. Now, these numbers are rather like temperature. If you think of the temperature being a degree of hotness, you say a room is hot or a room is cold, and you measure how hot or how cold by taking the temperature of the room with a thermometer. Now, these moods, these numbers, where we say enthusiasm is at 4.0 and we say fear is at 1.0, what that means is that the gap between 4.0 and 1.0 is 4 units. And therefore, we say there are 4 levels of moods between enthusiasm and fear. For instance, at 2.0, we have antagonistic behaviour, which is absolutely slap in the middle between enthusiasm coming down the mood table and fear. So your moods can go up and your moods can come down. Most of your moods are between 4.0, which is enthusiasm, and 2.0, which is antagonism. But the moods do go down to 0, which is failure and death, if you like. And also the moods go up to as far as 40.0. But anything above 4.0 is a special case. And above 4.0, at 8.0, for instance, we have exhilaration. If you go to a sports meeting and you've ever heard a roar go around a stadium, that is exhilaration. At that level, telepathy can take place. It is being exhilarated, and it's quite a high mood. It's 8.0. 40.0, if you're at 40.0, it's serenity, it's total presence. It's the higher states that are achieved by yoga and various states of mysticism. And at 40.0, well, in fact, at 8.0, you start to go out your body. So all the moods here above 8.0 are out the body moods. You will have the feeling of being outside yourself. In fact, at 20.0, you will be in action. And I expect you've heard of the Zulu wars where the Zulu warriors used to keep coming, and they used to keep firing bullets, and then they still keep coming. The way they've managed to do that, they got into a 20.0, which is action. They're outside their bodies. They were running and motivating their bodies from outside, and that meant that the body could take far more punishment than it could, say, enthusiasm at 4.0. So they could eventually, their body could be killed, but the body was able to go a lot further, and a lot more exhilaration was able to be put into the act. In fact, they were up at 20 in action, so they could go the extra pace even though bullets were hitting them. So those are higher states and involve going out your body. So anything above 8.0, exhilaration, you start to go out your body. If you've ever seen people coming away from a football match, the reason that they are in a state is because they're in a state of exhilaration. If you've been on a train with them or a bus, you'll feel the pressure coming off them. You'll feel stirred up yourself by their exhilaration because they're out their body. You'll feel as if they're all around you, and you'll feel probably a little nervous in the situation. But most of the normal moods are between 4.0 and 0. And I'll read you these moods coming down, and I'll read you them going up, so you can see that people can come down in mood and also go up. So at 4.0 we have enthusiasm, 3.5 we have interest, at 3.0 we have conservatism, at 2.5 we have boredom, 2.0 we have antagonism, 1.8 we have pain, 1.5 we have anger, 1.2 we have no sympathy, and these are defined in the notes. At 1.1 we have covert hostility, at 1.0 we have fear, 0.9 we have sympathy, 0.8 we have propitiation, 0.5 we have grief, at 0.375 we have making amends, 0.05 we have apathy, and at 0 we have failure. So going up the scale, up the mood table, we have failure, apathy, making amends, grief, propitiation, sympathy, fear, covert hostility, no sympathy, anger, pain, antagonism, boredom, conservatism, interest, enthusiasm. And above enthusiasm at 8.0 we have exhilaration, going up to 40.0, which is serenity of beingness. On the minus scale, you might wonder how this minus scale fits in. Well, between 4.0 and 0, you have the normal range of human moods between enthusiasm and apathy, which you'll come across from day to day in other people that you meet. At failure, when somebody's had a terrible failure in their life, two things can happen. They can either come back on the mood table, or they can go right off the mood table, if you like, under the table, and get down stuck into the states of regret, which is just below failure, blame, which is below regret, and shame. So we have regret, blame, and shame below 0, and then we go down to sub-apathy. We can go right down to minus 8.0, which is in hiding. You'll find that people who are in psychiatric hospitals are basically in hiding. They have disconnected from life. They are below 0. And in fact, one of the things that happens when somebody comes out of a psychiatric hospital, they start to recover from their illness. They come up to the 0 level, which is also the death level, and quite often they commit suicide. So somebody who's on the minus mood table has to come up through suicide. They have to come up and confront the failure, which causes them to go off the mood table. Do you all follow what I'm saying? In other words, somebody has a failure, okay, they can either get over it and start to come up through apathy, which is sitting and staring into space, or they can come up to grief and crying, or they can come up to being angry, or they can come up to being antagonistic. That's one way they can go. Or they can go on the minus scale, down through regret, blame and shame, down through sub-apathy, right down to in hiding. And the trouble is, if you meet people on the minus mood table, it's often very difficult for you to distinguish between somebody who's on the minus mood table and somebody who's on the plus mood table, because the lower moods, the minus ones, look very similar on the first inspection to the high ones. So somebody running around at minus 8.0, if you met them out on the street, you might get the impression they were in exhilaration. They might be completely nuts. They would be in exhilaration, but they would be exhilarated about being somebody else other than themselves. They'd be running around saying, well, I'm the chief of police and I'm on leave, and I've got all my constables back in the station. And if you met them, they'd probably be dressed in a uniform as a chief constable, and you'd think, what an exhilarated fellow, what a leader of the community. And you could go to this chap, you could take this chap home, and he would talk about all the police because he's probably studied about them, and he'd give you the name of his policeman, he'd reveal all the crimes that he's hunting down, and then he'd leave you. And next day you might pick up the paper and find him in the paper there, and find that he'd just escaped from a mental hospital. So these people that are on the minus scale, they dramatise the high moods. You see, but they're totally around the twist. But somebody who was right down at minus 8.0 has so given up being himself that he's totally become somebody else. So he's exhilarating about being somebody else who he's read about and somebody who's studied, but he no longer wants to be himself. And for that chap to get better, he'd have to start to feel ill and start to feel sick as he became himself, and as he confronted the problems which had caused him to retreat away from himself. So he no longer wants to be whoever he is, he wants to be somebody else. And that really is the phenomena of all these people who are running around being Queen Elizabeth, being Napoleon Bonaparte. They are people who have given up being themselves and who want to become somebody else. So if you ever meet one of these, you've got to be very careful that if you think he's on the higher mood table, the fact that he's not on the minus scale. So below failure, people have had a tremendous failure in their life. They've come down bang. A failure may be an emotional failure, or maybe an accident in terms of a physical accident of some kind of failure. They can either come back on the mood table, or they can invert and go on the minus scale. And on the minus scale, people dramatise the higher moods. The more they go down, the more they appear to be going up. And they themselves, you see, think that they're going up the mood table, and they're convinced there's nothing wrong with them. And they have to sometimes get worse in order to get better. And they all have to, if they're coming off this minus mood table, come up through zero, which is failure. And at that point, be it for a second or be it for a week, they want to commit suicide. They want to die because they are frightened to give up the personality, the adopted personality they've become. They're frightened to give it up. They're frightened to get back on that mood table and come up through apathy, and come up through grief, and come up through fear, and come up through anger, and get back into a normal state of interest or enthusiasm. So sometimes if you read that somebody's been very ill, who's been mentally ill, has committed suicide, then don't think they're getting worse, because in fact they were probably getting better. Anybody who's had a tremendous failure in their life, emotional or physical, quite often goes through this suicide bang. Now, these moods, how do they tie in with the subconscious mind? How do they tie in with the LAC triangle? Those of you who haven't done that won't know what it is. The LAC triangle is a relationship between liking and not liking, and agreeing with people, and also communication. And if you remember the size of that triangle, we said that you could have a big triangle or you could have a small triangle. Well, these moods are directly related to that triangle. So somebody at 4.0 who's being enthusiastic, in an enthusiastic mood, would have a very large LAC triangle. And remember, that triangle, that relationship between likability, agreement, and communication, those three things equal understanding. A large LAC triangle means a lot of understanding. L plus A plus C in a triangle relationship equals understanding. So the bigger the triangle, the bigger the degree of understanding, and the bigger the degree of understanding, the higher up the mood table you are. So if you're at 40, you have total understanding. You'll be totally at one with the universe. You'll be totally at one with everybody else. You'll be starting to go into the fifth dimension, because all the moods above 40, and there are moods above 40, are fifth dimensional moods. And those of you who come on and do the second course realise that the fifth dimension is the state of timelessness. It is a state outside space, and it is a state outside, well, not only outside the three dimensions of space, but also outside and away from the time track. Because you've got a time track recording this life, and you've also got a time track recording all your other lives, which you think don't exist because you can't remember them. But nevertheless, they're there. So you all have the concept of having lived before. Whether you define that in terms of reincarnation, or whether you define that in terms that you can reach other people's memories, other people's thoughts who have lived and are now dead, whichever way you interpret it, you've got this concept of a time track going back not a few thousand years, which covers the last 10,000 years of history of this earth, but you've also got memories and a time track going right back to the start of this universe. Now, Whether you accept you've lived before, I wouldn't get too worried about that. But people nevertheless can recall these memories. And there's 1,600 cases there on the board, which was studied by an eminent psychiatrist. And of those 1,600 cases, something like 80%, he actually traced them down and located the parents of the people who had the honour of this person who could remember these memories. They went back and found the people's parents. 80% of these cases checked out. He's written a very scientific paper for a very scientific journal, and doctors and psychiatrists now begin to realise that people have got these memories. And what they are, or how you've got these memories, don't worry. But in fact, you've got this universal idea that you've lived before. In fact, what it is, you can reach other people's memories as if you can take a tape recording of them, play them, and actually experience things of people that are no longer here. And if you conceive of that you actually lived before, so be it. But you can certainly reach these memories. These memories are, in fact, a collective unconsciousness, which we are all part of. So if you go above 40, you go into the mood of timelessness, and that you'll learn all about on the second course. To get back to the more mundane, I was talking about the LAC triangle. As you come down this mood table, so as you get down, say, 2.0 antagonism, you know an antagonistic person has less understanding than an enthusiastic person. So an antagonistic person so I was saying, as you come down this mood table, the LAC triangle gets smaller, and therefore the degree of understanding gets smaller. So somebody in a state of fear has very little understanding of anybody, therefore a very small LAC triangle. And as you go up the mood table, so the LAC triangle increases. Now, all states above 8.0, you've got the sensation of being out your body, and all states below 0, you've also got the idea or the feeling of being outside your body. Now, these lower states, when these people sometimes walk into the door and they're on the minus scale, I can feel them when they walk in the door. I can feel them right over here. You've got the sensation that they are out their body, and if you've ever had anything to do with somebody who is throwing some kind of mad fit, you'll find that their strength increases tremendously, and you need a lot of people to hold them down. And that's because they're controlling their body from outside. The electromagnetic field is extending far further than somebody who is on the middle of the mood table there. So the minus moods here, people do have the sensation of being out their body, and you can, on the minus scale, have a lot of paranormal phenomena occur, even if people are on this minus scale. People can achieve some kind of extrasensory perception on this minus scale, the same as they can above 8.0. But the usage of it and the dramatisation of it on the lower scales is usually for an evil purpose. So everyone that's mixed up in black magic and all that type of nonsense, they will tend to have had a big failure in their life, and therefore they're trying to dramatise the success using the black magic, using it inversely, because they're on the minus mood table. And they're trying to cause other people's agonies and other people to have bad luck and so forth, because they're on the minus scale. And we have from time to time met these people who've come in here, and very obvious they are on the minus scale, and we had to get rid of them pretty quick. So don't worry too much about minus moods. Worry more about the moods between 4.0 and 0. Now, this also ties in with the horizons, if you can remember the 8 horizons, because on each horizon, the person who is existing on that horizon can, in fact, have a mood. So you could be enthusiastic about the 3rd horizon, or you could be angry about the 2nd horizon, or you could be frightened about the 8th horizon. So all these moods also tie up with the horizons, and all these moods also tie up with the LAC triangle. Now let's find out and define why we are not all at 40.0. Why aren't we all totally at one with the universe? Why are we all not in a timeless state? Why are we all fixed in bodies sitting on this earth at this time? And there's a very good reason. It's because each and every one of you has got this subconscious mind, and you've been carrying this around since birth, and part of it, in fact, is embedded in the collective unconscious. Don't worry too much about the collective unconscious, because we're mainly concerned here with the psychological aspects. So if you don't want to go into all this past life stuff and don't want to worry about timelessness, forget it for the purpose of this lecture. Just think of yourself being born and picking up, if you like, a subconscious mind from birth. But the whole reason that you go down this mood table is because it's the interaction of the subconscious mind coming in on you. If you can think of this subconscious mind rather like an electromagnetic field, you've probably heard the expression that when people are in a bad mood, they're heavy. Have you heard that expression? People who have bad moods, you say, well, he's very heavy today. You've come across that, Doreen, have you? People who are on the lower moods tend to look into themselves, and they tend to have got this sort of heavy look about them, this denseness. They look dense, they look intense, they look very introverted. And this is because this subconscious mind, which you must view as a sort of electromagnetic field, if you like, is coming on the person. And don't worry about where the subconscious mind is, but what brings it in, there's always something that has keyed a person in. So if somebody's in a bad mood, if the boss is in a bad mood, or your husband's in a bad mood, there is a reason, and it's got nothing to do with what's in his subconscious mind, because you've all got the subconscious mind. The problem is what has keyed him in. One moment he was all right, the next moment he's not all right, or she. And the important thing is that they have been re-stimulated by something, and the re-stimulation has caused the subconscious mind to come in, so that somebody who in one moment in time is enthusiastic suddenly has become very angry. There's been a collapse of the LAC triangle. There's been some kind of re-stimulation, and it is the re-stimulation which has brought the subconscious mind in. So somebody I've got here during the day, what is the important thing is to find what is re-stimulating them. If you can find what is re-stimulating them, and it's normally a person, if you can get them away from the person that's re-stimulating them, then you can get them out of their subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is brought in because the person, that is you, is re-stimulated. So you go down you go down the mood table. If you can find out what it is that is re-stimulating you, what it is that is keying you in, then you can key the person out and they will go up the mood table. And it's usually a person that is causing the re-stimulation. And if you get the person who's having the trouble away from that other person, immediately they come up the mood table. So watch and look out for the people who drive you down the mood table. And when you do the practical in a moment, you're going to practice some of these moods so that you'll be able to identify them all. And if you just write down a list every day of the people that force you down this mood table, and the people who, when you get away from them, you come up the mood table, those are the people that are re-stimulating you. And all re-stimulation is the re-stimulation of your subconscious mind. Now, as you've all got different things in your subconscious mind, you've all got the same structure, you've all got a body, you are a person, you've all got a rational mind, and you've all got a subconscious mind. The only thing that's different from each of you is what's in your subconscious mind. So it's what's in your subconscious mind that's re-stimulated. So different people are re-stimulated by different things. So one person may, shall we say, be re-stimulated to Doreen, they wouldn't anyway be re-stimulated to Rose, because Rose has got different things in the subconscious mind to be re-stimulated other than Doreen. So it doesn't mean that there is one person who's going to re-stimulate everyone. Different people in different situations re-stimulate different people. But the mechanism is the same for all of you. You have your subconscious mind re-stimulated, bang. In comes the subconscious mind, your LAC triangle collapses, and you go down the mood table. If it's an extreme case, you can be driven by another person right off the bottom of the mood table to suicide, and even to the state of starting to become other people and starting to adopt the personalities of others. But it is your subconscious mind that's re-stimulated, and it is this electromagnetic structure, which is the subconscious mind, which drives you down this mood table. And when the electromagnetic field can be keyed out again, when the re-stimulation, the thing that actually re-stimulated you, can be discovered, confronted and handled, then the subconscious mind will move out, you'll come up the mood table, and you will feel good, you'll feel lots of understanding for other people, and you have a large LAC triangle. But it's the re-stimulation of the subconscious mind which causes you to go down these mood tables all the time. And it's a question, if you want to come out of that, it's a question of finding out what is re-stimulating you. If you can locate what is re-stimulating you, then you'll immediately shoot up the mood table, your LAC triangle will increase, and you'll be understanding, and you'll be able to receive other people's understanding. And if you can actually eliminate the subconscious mind totally, which we can do, we're talking about quite high courses now, we're talking about courses which you'll be able to offer to people, say, in 6 months' time. You can actually run out what is in the subconscious mind. You've then got nothing to re-stimulate at all. So you're all sitting there with subconscious minds, so you can all be re-stimulated. But if you can actually take the subconscious mind and collapse it so there is nothing in it, then all that is left is you and the body. And then you can handle life at the level of 40, because there is nothing to re-stimulate. So somebody can shout at you, swear at you, curse you, and there is no way that you're going to be defected anymore, because you have no subconscious mind to re-stimulate. But at the moment, and certainly as far as the personality rehabilitation that we run here achieves, it is the destimulating and the keying out of the subconscious mind and not the running out of it. In order to get rid of it, you actually have to run it out. That can be done, but that is a higher level. So at the moment, be just happy that if you can key your subconscious out, find out what's re-stimulating you in life, get away from it, and then you'll find you'll come up the mood table, you'll find your LHC triangle will increase, you'll find you'll be able to live and enjoy life because you will have a high mood level along each of the 8 horizons. And that covers the lecture tonight, lecture for Peter Goodwin or copyright reserved. Thank you very much.